Hey guys, so we are going to be looking at the Pythagorean theorem today. You've done it before. We're just going to go over it a little more in depth. So the Pythagorean theorem is used to find a missing side of a right triangle. This can only be used for right triangles. It's not the case for other triangles. So the sides A and B, so I'm going to go ahead and color code this. So this side and this side, so the sides that are adjacent to or touching the right angle there are called the legs of the triangle. And then the one directly across from the right angle, opposite the right angle like that, the one that's not touching it, is considered the hypotenuse. And we're going to use those words a lot with right triangles. So you need to make sure you know which ones are the legs and which one's the hypotenuse. So the actual Pythagorean theorem states that if you have any right triangle, if we square the first leg, square the second leg, and add them together, we're going to get the answer that we would get if we squared the hypotenuse. Sorry. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and look through this. I'm going to go ahead and go up here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and color code A, B, and C just to show you. So C is always going to be the hypotenuse directly across from the right angle. Okay, and then A and B are going to be the two legs. Okay, so first, whenever we do one of these, we're going to go ahead and label which one's the hypotenuse. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that one so it's directly across from the right angle, doesn't touch it. So we know that our two legs are going to be A and B, and then our hypotenuse is going to be C. So we have A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. All right, and so now we can plug in our numbers. So A we wrote down as 8, B is 13, and we're looking for C, but we're going to go ahead and replace it with the X that's up there. Now we just need to solve for X. So let's go ahead and simplify on the left. 8 squared is 64, plus 13 squared is 169. We still haven't done anything with this X squared. If we add those together, we're going to get 233. That's also equal to X squared. Now, if we need to solve for X instead of X squared, in order to get rid of that exponent, we need to take the square root. So, if we take the square root of 233, we're going to get the answer is equal to about 15.3. Okay? So again, you round to the nearest tenth, so the first place past the decimal. And that's our answer here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and mark that this here is the hypotenuse directly across. So that's going to be C. The legs are going to be A and B. I now want you to go ahead and pause the video and try number 2 on your own. Go ahead and solve for the hypotenuse on your own. Okay? Now let's go on to number 3. This time we're looking for a leg. You can see that the hypotenuse over here, directly across from the right angle, is going to be 9. So we have A, B, and C. Okay, so again, we're using A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. So A is 7. B, we're not sure. We're going to put X in there because that's what we've got written over here. And then C is 9. So before I start solving, I'm going to go ahead and simplify these. So 7 squared is 49 plus X squared is equal to 9 squared is 81. Okay, so now we need to solve for X. So we need to get 49 on the other side. So we'll subtract it because it's a positive number. That's going to give us X squared is equal to 32. And then to get just X on its own, take the square root. It's going to give you the X is about 5.7. Okay, so go ahead and plug in your numbers. First, you got to figure out which one's the hypotenuse. So again, draw a line straight across from the right angle. That's going to be the hypotenuse. The other ones are A and B. Okay, now I want you to go ahead and pause and solve for the leg on number 4. Okay, so now looking at number 5. You can see here that we are looking for the height of this triangle here. Okay, well, it's not a right triangle, but if we draw this line and we see that this is a right angle, then the one created over here, I'm going to go ahead and draw it out a little better so you can see it a little better. Go ahead and separate the triangles. It helps a lot. So we're looking for this side We know that these two sides are the same because of the tick mark, so that is going to be 24 as well. Okay, and then since the whole base of this triangle is 22, and it's an isosceles triangle, we can see that half of it here is going to be 11. Now that we've got that, we can go ahead and say that one across here, across from the right angle, is going to be C. The legs are going to be A and B. So we're going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared again, Pythagorean theorem. A is x, because we're not sure what one it is. B is 11. C is 24. Okay, so let's go ahead and simplify. Sorry guys, I keep pushing that button. Simplify these numbers. So 11 squared is 121. 24 squared is 576. Now we have to solve for x. So we'll get 121 on the other side. Okay, excuse me. So that gives us that x squared is equal to 455. And now to figure out what x is, get rid of the exponent. We're going to take the square root, and that's going to give us that x is equal to about 21.3. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and set this one up a little bit. Number 6. Okay. So if we draw this here, we see that these two sides are the same because it is a rectangle. And we see that these two sides are the same. So from here to here is 5. So if the whole thing's 18, and that part right there is 5, that means that this part right here is going to be 13. So we have one with 13, we have this 16, we have this 90-degree angle. One across from that 90-degree angle is the hypotenuse, so that's going to be C, and then A and B. So A is 13, B is X, and C is 16. I want you to go ahead and plug those numbers in and try this one on your own. Alright, now we're going to look at number 7 here. Okay, so we can see that both of these are going to be this right angle. We're going to be solving for x here. So we're actually going to have to split this up. Let's label these as triangle A and triangle B. Okay, so if we look at triangle A, we have this. Okay, there's our right angle. One across from it's going to be C. Okay, so we have whatever this part is down here. We'll call it x1. We have that this part right here is 12, and this part is 14. So we can go ahead and solve for that little part right there. So again, the one across from the right angle is going to be C, and then those are going to be A and B. So we have a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So that's just solving. We're solving for this little portion of the base of that triangle. So A is right here is written as 12. We're not really sure what B is. You can either write it as b squared or, like I said, we'll use the x squared. And then equal to C is 14 squared. Okay, so now 12 squared, forgot the square there, is going to be 144. X1 squared is going to be the same. And then 14 squared is going to give us 196. We're going to solve for that x. We'll get 144 to the other side by subtracting it from each side. It's going to give us the x squared is going to be about 52. But if we take the square root, that means that the little base of that triangle is going to be about 7.2. So this part is about 7.2. Now, let's look at this other triangle here. Okay, so it looks like this. We have this right angle down here. Okay, we know that this side over here is 12. We know that this part is 29. And again, I'll label this one x2. It's the part we don't know. Okay, so the one directly across from the right angle is C. The other ones are A and B. And once again, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, so we've got a here is 12 squared, plus b we're not sure, so we'll use this x2 squared, and then c is 29. We keep the squared. Okay, so let's go and square these numbers. So 12 squared again is 144. We're not really sure about this one. We haven't solved for it yet. That's what we're solving for. And then 29 squared is 841. Okay, so now we're going to solve for x. So we'll subtract the 144, giving us that x2 squared is equal to 697. And then to solve for just the x, this x2 is going to be 26.4 after we take the square root. So this part right here is going to be 26.4. But it doesn't want just those two sides, it wants the entire thing. So the entire thing is going to be this x1 plus the x2. It's going to be the 7.2 plus 26.4. And once we've done that, we're going to get 33.6. So again, just split up the triangles if you have more than one. Mark which ones are right angles. Mark which ones on the right triangles are the hypotenuse, which sides. And then go from there. Use the Pythagorean theorem. All right, so let's look into number 8 now. So we have two triangles. Let's go ahead and call this side right here A, because we don't have the length for it. First, let's go ahead and try to solve for A, because in order to solve this triangle, we need two of the sides. We only have one of the sides. But if we look at this triangle, we have two of the sides. So if we look at this one, we know that the one directly across from the right angle is going to be C. We've already got that one as A, so we'll call this one B. So let's go ahead and call this one triangle capital A. Okay, so for triangle A, we have the A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. Okay, so we go ahead and leave A squared the same, because that's the one we're solving for. B is 10, and C is 25. So now we can go ahead and try and solve, or simplify first. So A squared plus 10 squared is 100. 25 squared is 625. We can subtract 100 from both sides, giving us A squared is equal to 525. And if we take the square root of both sides, that is going to give us that A is equal to about 22.9. Okay, so now we can go ahead and erase that, and we know that this part right here is 22.9. So now we're going to be looking at this top triangle. We'll call it triangle B. So for triangle B, we're going to go ahead and solve for x now. So again, the one directly across from the right angle is going to be C. The other ones are going to be A and B. And it doesn't matter which order you do it in. Okay, so we again have A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. A here, we're not sure about, so I'll put in the x here. Okay, B is going to be this 22.9 side squared is equal to C is 28 squared. Okay, so let's go ahead and multiply out these squareds. So 22.9 squared is going to be about 524.41. 28 squared is going to be 784. Now to solve for x, we'll get this 524.41 to the other side, subtracting it. That gives us x squared is equal to 259.59. And if we take the square root, once we do it, we can round to the one place past the decimal. That's going to give us that x is equal to about 16.1. So when you're looking at them, and if you're not sure which triangle to start on, look for a right triangle that has two of the three sides already labeled. That's the one you're going to start with. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and go through this a little bit, so we know that these two are the same because it's 20. We know that this part and this part's the same. Okay? This part's 26, just from here to here. So, if the entire thing is 40, that part's 26. That means the part that includes both of these is going to be this 40 minus 26, which is going to give us 14. But this 14 needs to be split up between both of these. And so each of them are going to be half of 14, so it's going to be 7. So now we have a triangle here to look at. This right triangle here over here is what we're looking at. We have x on the side, 7 on the bottom, 20 on this side. One across from the right angle is going to be C. The other two are going to be A and B. Now I want you to go ahead and pause the video and solve for the x. Okay, so on each of these, you're going to draw the picture, then you're going to solve for the missing side. So looking at number 10, it says a roofer leaned a 16-foot ladder against a house. Okay, so we have a house here, and they leaned a ladder up in it. And it is a 16-foot ladder, so the actual ladder itself is 16 feet long. If the base of the ladder is 5 feet from the house, so from here to here is 5 feet, how high up the house does the ladder reach? So we know that this is going to be a right angle because houses come up at a corner, and this is the one we're going to look for. Okay, so now that we've drawn the picture, we can see the triangle. So the one across from the right angle is going to be C. The other two are going to be A and B. Now we just have to use Pythagorean theorem to solve. A is X, because we're not sure what that one is. B is 5. C is 16. Okay, so now we can go ahead and multiply these out. 5 times 5 is 25. 16 times 16 is 256. We'll subtract 25 to the other side, giving me that x squared is equal to 231. Then we'll take the square root of both sides to give us that x is equal to 15.2. Okay, so we know that from here to here is 15.2, but again, it says it in feet, so we need to answer it in feet. 15.2 feet. Make sure you put your unit on, because it's 15.2 feet up the house. If you just say it's 15.2 up the house, I don't know if you're talking about feet, yards, meters, inches, anything. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and look on number 11, and I'm just going to draw the picture. So Kurt is building a rectangular deck, so we have a rectangle. Okay, so if we have a rectangle, we know that each of these are going to be 90 degrees. Okay, the dimensions of the deck are 10 by 23 feet, so 10 feet, and each of these are going to be 23 feet. So this part's going to be 10 feet, and this one's going to be 23 feet. What is the length of the diagonal? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and erase these two corners. And you can look for this side. You can look at either the top or the bottom triangle. They're the same. So let's just go ahead and look at this one. Now I want you to go ahead and try and solve on this one on your own. Okay, now I want you to go ahead and take the time, and I want you to go ahead and try number 12. Okay, remember east is to the right, south is down. Okay, I want you to go ahead and try that one. Go ahead and pause and do it now. Okay, hopefully you've gotten the answer for that one. Now we're going to look at number 13. I want you to try that one on your own too. Okay, just remember the wire itself is 31 feet. The pole is 25 feet. Draw the triangle. Try and solve for the side on your own. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at the Pythagorean theorem's converse. So looking at this, if you're given a triangle with all three sides, if you can check and see if this is true. If you have that c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared, then the triangle is a right triangle. If you plug in the numbers here and you get that c squared is more than what you get when you do a squared plus b squared, then the triangle is going to be an obtuse triangle. And if you get that c squared is less than what you get when you get a squared plus b squared, then the triangle is going to be acute. Okay, so let's look at it. Remember that c squared, whichever one's going to be c, is going to be the longest side. C is the longest side because it's the hypotenuse, and this is always the longest side. Okay, I would suggest to keep c on the left to always make sure you're getting the right thing. So we got c, let's go ahead and see which ones are a, b, and c. So c is going to be the longest one, so 9 is going to be c, and then the other two doesn't matter. So we have c squared is going to be equal to 9 squared, which is 81. Now if we need a squared plus b squared, that's going to be equal, oh, I wrote two b's. B squared, that's going to be 3 squared plus 7 squared. Okay, so that's going to be 3 times 3 is 9, 7 times 7 is 49. You add those two together, you're going to get 58. Okay, so now we have c squared and a squared plus b squared. Okay, so c squared is 81. This one's 58. If you look, they're not equal. 81 is greater than 58. So c squared is greater than it. If you're looking up here, it's that one. C squared is greater. so then it's an obtuse angle. Okay? So for number 2, again, C is going to be the longest one, the other two are AB. So we need C squared first, 29 squared. That is going to give us 841. And then A squared plus B squared is going to be 20 squared plus 21 squared. This is going to give us 841 in the end. Okay, so again we have C squared and A squared plus B squared. C squared we got 841. The other one we got 841. Since they are equal, if you check up here, if they're equal to each other, then it's a right triangle. So we're going to mark the right one. We're going to actually skip number 3, and I also want you not to do number 6. Okay? So again, figure out what A squared, B squared, and C squared are. Okay, so A, B, and C. C squared is going to be 22 squared, which is going to give us 484. And then A squared plus B squared is going to be equal to 17 squared plus 17 squared, which is going to give us 578. Okay, so again, C squared, and then A squared plus B squared. So you got 484 and 578. You can see that that one is going to be less than that one. So if C squared is less than A squared plus B squared, look at this one, and the triangle is acute. Okay, so literally just figure out what A squared plus B squared is, figure out what C squared is, and determine which one's greater if they're equal. Go ahead and try 5, 7, and 8 on your own. You can do those. Let me know if you guys have any questions, if you have any problems. Good luck on this, and you have practice problems to do next week after this, I think. So you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys later.